Hello, Jose here at Ricmotech. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 different things that I do to maintain any racing simulator. We get a lot of phone calls from customers that they ask us to remote into their computer, and time again, it's usually after a long period of time that they have not used it. There are so many variables that could happen with everybody's computer and sim being individual that it's very tough to figure out what happened right there in the moment. I always joke that sims are like hypercars, that if you don't use them, they're going to spend more time in the shop than being used. So my number one thing that I always recommend to people is to be able to run the simulator every day. And I fully understand that some people may not have the time to do that, but even something as simple as just turning it on daily is going to be a big help. Not running the simulator for a long period of time usually causes corrupted updates, which end up wreaking havoc on the simulator. I've dealt with OCD most of my life, and one of my goals is to be able to have a racing simulator where it's just one power plug connected to the wall. I think it would be super clean. Nothing drives me crazier than seeing a mess of wires behind a simulator, and there's several reasons as to why good cable management is important. First reason I feel that wire management is important is EMI, or electromagnetic interference. I get a lot of calls where customers are asking, my shifter stopped working, or I'm getting random shifts, or some other piece of hardware stopped working. What could end up happening is that once you have all those cables kind of intertwined together and touching, if there's anything else in the environment that could be causing it, then electromagnetic interference is going to cause really weird issues with your hardware. So stuff like misshifts and random disconnects, you'll find that if you're experiencing EMI. Another reason cable management is really important is when it comes time to troubleshoot. And for sure this is going to happen. There will be times where you will have to troubleshoot, and there's going to be times where you're going to have to go to the back of the PC and unplug something to plug it back in. And either knowing what's back there or just having some sort of an organization back there, it's really going to help you out. And if you're on the phone with somebody that's helping you, somebody like me maybe, I'm really going to appreciate if your wires are nice and tidy. And my final point about cable management comes down to finding weak points in your system. So something like our APX, I was able to find 2 weak points, specifically at our simulator at Prestige or Lamborghini of Miami. We have a cable on a control box that was pushed a little bit too far forward. And in that case, customers were, whenever they would get in and out, they would inadvertently push the cable, and then they would pull out a power cable that would kill all the motion. Another weak point that I noticed is that if you're running a wheel with a USB connection, there's a USB dock underneath our rig, but sometimes there's too much slack on the cable, and that slack could be enough to, when you're moving the wheel too much, the cable to become unplugged. So what I ended up doing was just some simple cable management clips, and I put that directly under just to take up the rest of the slack, and I haven't had a single issue with the wheel again. Another thing I like to talk to people about, it's the fact that you can move stuff around the rig. You can make it your own. Race cars, they're built around the driver usually. In our case, we can take the simulator and adjust it so that we're comfortable and make it our own. I see so many people where they just put the rig together, they tighten everything down, and then they end up using it that way for years to come. I remember when I started building my rig, sure, I put things in kind of a logical place where I thought they would line up, but then from there, and even to this day, several years later, I'm still making adjustments. Whether I'm changing from a different car or just being able to find a little bit more comfort, that alone is enough for higher or faster lap times, I should say. It's that little bit of comfort that gives me a little bit more confidence and just makes me enjoy my sim a little bit more. This is all important for maintenance because whether you're putting stress on the sim or you're putting stress on yourself, then something's going to end up going wrong. So that's just one of those things that it could be a small thing, but it can make a really big difference. Now, if you're one of those that's running your sim and the PC is just dedicated to the sim, then this shouldn't be too much of an issue for you. Starting off with Windows, if you just go into the update settings or the system settings, you should see right there if there's any updates ever available, and you can go ahead and do that from there. Any of the software that goes to the sim, so your steering wheel, pedals, anything that could be using software, that's usually going to give you an indication of when an update is needed. The biggest thing that you have to keep in mind is space. So keep in mind that when you're downloading data, keep in mind that you want to make sure that you have enough space on your hard drive. Something specific to iRacing, though, to keep in mind is there's two different ways to update. There's either the required updates or the, I think it's the all update or update all. For me, I always prefer to update all. Again, I run my PC only on my sim, so I know I have plenty of memory available. But the biggest issue comes down to on the maintenance side. I've seen a lot of issues with software being corrupted unless I do the update all. So I update everything on iRacing anytime there's an update required, and I have not had any issues since I've been doing that. There's really no need to be scared of updates. They usually bring out a lot of really cool new features and make the product much more enjoyable to use. And if you're still in fear of updating, remember that we do offer remote sim support, and we're here to walk you all the way through. The last thing I want to talk about, and I see so many pictures of particularly pedal decks being full of dust and dog or cat hair, and my biggest thing is just clean it. These things are expensive, and you've spent a lot of time and money putting these things together, so take care of them. It's as simple as if you're using just a compressed air or a clean rag or something, but definitely keep your simulator clean. I know that this is a topic that a lot of new people still struggle with when it comes time to buying their sim. The idea of how overwhelming it is to have to learn all of the hardware and software. So if that is still your fear factor, then I'm glad you're still watching this channel, because my goal is to be able to help you run your simulator as best as you can. If you take away one thing away from this video, it's that you got to use your sim. Try to use it as much as you possibly can. And if you ever run into any issues, remember that we're here for you. I'll see you in the next video.